Um, this upcoming fight right now between Keyshawn Davis and Edwin De Los Santos, it's going to be made possibly June 7th. Um, it's not official, but they're actually in the works, and that's the latest thing that I read about Edwin De Los Santos fight versus Keyshawn Davis. Who do you think is going to win that fight? Let me know your opinions in the comments and click that subscribe button. Don't forget to click that subscribe button. Subscribe to my channel. You're going to get the best content you ever received. Um, who do you think? Do you think that's a fight that he's ready for, Keyshawn Davis? Um, do you really think that he's ready? Considering that Edwin De Los Santos made a good account of himself when he fought Shakur Stevenson, and uh, we have to take some things into consideration. When Shakur Stevenson fought Edwin De Los Santos, he said he hurt his hand in training when he was training for the fight. It's possible, and I give him the benefit of the doubt, but he did make a good account of himself. In spite of the challenge that he had in front of him with Shakur Stevenson. He's a great boxer, and he didn't um he didn't look his best in that fight, Shakur Stevenson, but I definitely believe he won that fight. And I believe he did more running, too much not I would say too much running. I don't like to call it running because he is a boxing technician, Shakur Stevenson. So I believe that he did use his boxing ability, but he focused too much on footwork instead of like landing more shots just to impress the crowd. And but I still believe that De Los Santos didn't do enough to win, but he made it interesting, and he was in the fight every step of the way, but he didn't land effective enough, like to actually make make a case for him to win the fight. I really believe the fight. Shakur Stevenson clearly won that fight, but he had some moments where the pressure that he was putting on Shakur Stevenson, Edwin De Los Santos. You could tell that Shakur Stevenson was concerned about the pressure that De Los Santos was bringing. But I believe that there's different factors that influence the way Shakur Stevenson fought, and I think he fought more defensive because he couldn't use his full arsenal because one of his hands got hurt in sparring. I believe that. I believe Shakur Stevenson is a solid guy, and he's not going to just make that up. But I believe Keyshawn Davis. Well, based on his status, he has like on Instagram 446,000 followers. 446,000 followers. And Edwin De Los Santos has 29,000 followers. So, the more popular fighter, is definitely Keyshawn Davis. He has the promotional backing behind him with Top Rank, and they're really pushing his career pretty far. And I think that this fight right now, he's just taking it for the money, Edwin De Los Santos, because he hasn't been in the ring for like 2 years. Edwin De Los Santos hasn't been in the ring since he lost to Shakur Stevenson. It's been 2 years that he's been out of the ring, and I believe that ring rust is going to play a factor in the fact that his timing is not going to be as the way it would be if he was actually consistently active, like fighting constantly, Edwin De Los Santos. So I feel like it's a perfect time to actually pick De Los Santos to fight Keyshawn Davis. I think Keyshawn Davis is the truth, and he looked very impressive in his last fight, knocking out Berenchik, the guy from Ukraine. And I believe that he's only going to get better with time. Keyshawn Davis. I'm a huge fan of Keyshawn Davis, and I'm really excited about the fight. They say the fight is possibly going to be June 7th. That's in the works right now, and he calls himself the businessman. I believe is perfect timing for him to fight him. Keyshawn Davis, if he would have fought an consistently active fighter in Edwin De Los Santos, instead of a 2-year layoff, that he has right now currently, Edwin De Los Santos, if he was to fight Edwin De Los Santos as active, it would be a harder fight. But I still believe that Keyshawn Davis would still beat Edwin De Los Santos. I just believe that Keyshawn Davis is the total package. He has boxing ability, he has power, he has one punch power, which I'm very impressed. And so does Edwin De Los Santos. I believe he's dangerous, and I believe this is a really, really good, intriguing boxing match for June 7th, possibly. That's what I'm reading. I've been reading that June 7th is the date that they're making for Keyshawn Davis versus Edwin De Los Santos. And I truly believe that the fight will be competitive in the beginning, but then after the 6th or 7th round, I believe that Keyshawn Davis is gonna possibly knock him out, and or win by unanimous decision, but dominate him. I believe the first few rounds are gonna be competitive, and it's gonna be very shaky because they both have power. But I truly believe that the versatile fighter is Keyshawn Davis in this fight, and he has enough. He has enough in his arsenal and in his skill set to actually dominate Edwin De Los Santos after the 6th round. But I believe the first few rounds are going to be competitive. But I think Keyshawn Davis is going to be too much for Edwin De Los Santos. How you doing, Erica? How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to my channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. Subscribe to my channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. Click that like button. Click that subscribe button. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Yes. So what do you guys think about the fight between Keyshawn Davis versus Edwin De Los Santos? It's a very, very interesting fight, and I look forward to it. And I believe that fights like this are perfect for fans because we don't get competitive fights like this, and on paper it looks competitive. But I truly believe that Keyshawn Davis, he wants to prove that he is the best. And there's people that say Andy Cruz, the Cuban guy, would beat him. But I'm not really sold on Andy Cruz as of now. I think Andy Cruz has potential to make a lot of noise in the 135-pound division, but I'm not really convinced that he could beat Keyshawn Davis. Click that subscribe button. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Click that subscribe button. Don't be afraid. Click the like button. Subscribe to Tony Also Knows Boxing. Trying to get to 1,000 followers. My channel is growing, and I want to give everybody the content and information that they need. Because boxing content creators out there, they're the ones that are supporting boxing and keeping boxing alive right now. When it comes to Puerto Rican boxing, right now, I believe that the face of Puerto Rican boxing is most likely going to be Xander Zayas. But right now, we have Amanda Serrano and Subriel Matias and Oscar Collazo. And I think a guy by the name of Reyes, Santiago. I think his name is Santiago. His last name, Santiago. And he just beat a Japanese champion, and nobody expected him to win. I forgot his full name. I think Rene Santiago. If anybody knows his name, I think he fought a Japanese champion. I forgot his name because I don't follow the smaller weight classes like that, but he actually became a champ. Subscribe to that channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. You are tuning in to Tony Also Knows Boxing. So I believe when it comes to Puerto Ricans in general, the face of boxing will be eventually in due time if he wins the fight against Sebastian Fundora, which I think he has a lot of possibilities to win. I believe there's going to be a fight in the very maybe the first 5 rounds, but I believe that Xander Zayas will actually pick it up after the 5th round and actually possibly win by unanimous decision against Fundora or stop him. He might stop him. It all depends on how comfortable he feels in that ring and how he masters the distance between the long reach of Fundora and the boxing ability of Xander Zayas and the power of Fundora, because I believe he is the more powerful puncher within between the two. But I believe that Xander Zayas has more. He's a more versatile fighter. He's more advanced. He has more tools in his game. He can box, he can punch, but he's more of a boxer puncher than a puncher boxer. if that makes sense. So yeah, when it comes to Boricuas in general, we naturally have one punch KO. In this case, Xander Zayas doesn't, but he has the boxing ability and you know enough snap in his punches to actually make a statement and to make you think. But yeah, Puerto Ricans naturally have one punch KO power. A lot of them, I say like maybe like 70% of us do, and then a lot of us have athleticism as well. So I believe that that's what makes us a double threat because we can box and we can punch. A lot of us, like the majority. But then there's a percentage, I would say 30% that doesn't have a chin. But most Puerto Ricans, I say 75% to 70% have a chin. And if we don't have boxing ability, we always have 70% of us have punching power as well. We just naturally, a lot of us are naturally born with that power. It's just, like me, even in high school, man, like I remember like, when I fought a bigger guy, not to talk about myself too much, but I actually was able to do damage and knock him down on the floor just with one solid punch. And that was always something I used in my arsenal, that one punch KO. I always had that one punch power. And you would always hope that if the guy's bigger than you, that you punch him you hit him with one punch and you knock him down, that he don't get back up. Because if he gets back up, then you got to deal with him for a while. But you have to be able to use your boxing ability. And I always had that power. And then that power, once I had him down, I'll jump on him on the floor and I just start wrestling him and just bang his head. And I was a little wild back then. I wasn't a troublemaker, but trouble seemed to follow me, and then I had to defend myself like a Brooklynite always does, a Boricua Brooklynite. But yeah, that's all I got for now. Subscribe to my channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. Subscribe to my channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. Subscribe. Let me know in the comments between Keyshawn versus Edwin de los Santos. Let me know who you think is going to win. I think that Keyshawn Davis is going to win by knockout or stoppage. He's going to win, and I think in the 8th or 9th round, he's going to knock out Edwin de los Santos. It's going to be a very interesting fight. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing.